Luca.
Yeah. Nice job.
I'm Adam Harrell. I'm responsible for this.
I'm Alex Schwartz. I play Emma.
So,
all right.
So what was
lay it on.
What was your inspiration for writing the show?
The inspiration. I read. I'm a science guy. I like science stuff, and I was reading about birds of paradise just in my spare time, and I found that the great story about, it's in one of your monologues where he talks about how they learned how to mate without showing the feathers, and I thought that was just kind of a really cool adaptation. And it just got me thinking about how I could apply that, or how that applies to humans as well, and how we kind of go through our own little mating dance and whatnot. And I thought it would just make a really good, fun story. Really simple story too, because I was at the time I wanted to write something really just two characters, a two-hander as they call it.
Okay.
True. Very true.
So Adam, what are your thoughts on the relationship between Archie and Emma? What dynamic were you searching for when you wrote this?
I think everyone's had a relationship like Archie and Emma, maybe. You have, right? Yep. Yeah. Okay. I think everybody has that one. It's sort of the one that got away story, and everybody has that one person who it was just like, God, it would have been so perfect if not, if it just one last thing would have fallen into place, or this or that. And that's really what I wanted to capture, because that really sucks, that kind of relationship where it's nobody's fault and it just kind of falls apart. So, and I thought, there's a lot of drama to be had in something like that. So.
Anybody?
Did you start off with the reverse chronology, or you thought of that later? Or?
Yeah, I think it did start off with the reverse chronology. What came later was the reverse migration bit, because I wanted it to sort of. So when I plotted the play out, it kind of was static on the page, because if it was linear, in forward motion, it would just be these two people going through a step-by-step thing. So I had to do something to sort of jazz it up, as they say. And so I decided to do it backwards. And then we had a thing in development where we were like, okay, well, how are we going to, we're not really communicating that well. And so then I did some more research and found out about this reverse migration thing. And I was like, perfect! and just put it in the show, and it seemed to work well, yeah. It was just something to differentiate it from the plot.
You've heard a lot about, I guess, the trope of the manic pixie dream girl, and as an audience member, sort of feel like Emma comes across as that. But I'm wondering, about the authors, or the actors, how do you personally see Emma as you're interacting with her, and you as you're playing her? Do you see yourself as sort of this idyllic character for this person, or are you really just sort of being honest about who you are?
That's a good question. I think with the way that the play is written, I think the interaction that Archie has with Emma, at least from my perspective, is very dreamlike. He's kind of just remembering it. So she's a very huge personality and has a lot of, she's just kind of a wild woman and goes crazy and does all these kind of things. But I think it's more his perception of how she was and then looking back. So I think that she's, more crazy and wild than she probably is normally. So I kind of thought about that at the same time. I'm like, how can I make her real, but then still kind of keep it sort of in his memory and him remembering, but maybe not always getting it exactly right. So it was kind of both of those things. It was balancing dream and reality.
You balance it very well.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. Very nice. Yeah. Let's give her a hand. For Joe, what was it about Archie that drew you to the character? And then how did you connect with him?
So, I was actually, I got this play in my email. I got the script in my email, and I read it one afternoon, and I was just like, this is perfect. I have been in a relationship like this. It was awful, but I could do this. And I said, I completely know what's going on, because it was one of those things where the timing is always off, and there's no way that it would ever work out, except if the timing was right, which is a complete impossibility. And I think that's really what drew me to the show, because that's the whole conflict there. I mean, it all revolves around the time.
Why did you have it end like that? Was it just about timing, or was it about them not?
Why did I have it end like what? Why? What are we doing? Just what are your?
Yeah, just never being together.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because I think that's how it is in real life. You know, a lot. You don't always get the person you want to be with, right? And I thought that it was important to like kind of make that the ending of the play, so the audience knows like clearly that, yeah, you know, you just watched them for, you know, a little over an hour and you had fun with them, but guess what? You know, they were going different directions, you know, so now it's time to just, you know, it's time for you to break up with them as the audience, I guess.
I like that.
I know.
Very nice.
So how do you approach writing dialogue for a woman? I know that's probably a very difficult thing for most men, because
Yeah.
we have these relationships because we don't know what women are thinking all the time. How do you approach it?
I'm glad you said that, because I did have a lot of trouble writing women earlier in my career, and the reason I had so much trouble writing women is because I sort of viewed women as like an alien species who needed to be researched and understood, and you know, and I had a really great writing teacher who just told me, like, idiot, they're just people, you know, you just write them like people, you know, they have, you know, just like everything else. And so, yeah, you just approach it like that. I mean, of course, you know, you have to be sensitive because, you know, men are different than women. We can all agree, I think. So you have to be sensitive to sort of those differences, those superficial differences. But I think deep down, you know, it's not about, you know, the gender, it's just about the intention and the action, like what's being done and what's being gotten from or done to the person. You know, because we all hurt the same way, we all laugh the same way. That's the essence of drama. But I mean, but it is fun, I will say. It is fun to write a woman, because women can do some crazy stuff. Yes, thumbs up. So you know, it's just you just temper it with whatever, you know, and of course, I don't know if it's the correct way to write the woman at all. I just sort of write what the character requires.
Like I said that to
you know
Joe.
what I mean? Yeah.
So when you first started writing this play, did you know it was going to be this, what it sort of came to life as on stage, or did it evolve a lot through your writing process?
I think this one was rare in the case that the first draft was pretty similar to what the end result was. I think what changed a lot in the middle was a lot of the little scenes between Emma and Archie. Those things like went through a lot of changes, but the general thread of Archie doing the class, the lectures, and the structure was always in place. So it took a lot of development and workshops to sort of figure out what were the scenes we wanted to show between them, you know, in between the breaks, and how to like just get it just right so where it hits all the notes and that. So yeah, I mean, usually in my other plays, like there is a lot of difference between the first and last, but this was a really kind of simple play to work on because it was a simple premise. So it was always pretty fully formed in my head.
To Joe and Hallie, what is your favorite part of the play, or your favorite line that you have in the play?
I'm wasted, of course.
Yes, you are phenomenal when that happens.
Playing Emma is always
Oh, you were killing me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I do like the fight scene too. I think that everyone can relate to fighting about absolutely nothing. I mean, they're literally fighting about nothing. It's amazing. So I really liked that part because it's so crazy, and like we're yelling at the paintings, and I'm taking the paintings, and it's like, what's, you know, you're just going. So I love that part because it was a part that I could really relate to.
Yeah.
So those two parts.
What about you, Joe?
I have to second that. I like that scene a lot. I think because Archie kind of sticks up for himself there. I mean, I really liked that part. I mean, it probably wasn't in the best way for him or for their relationship, but he kind of stood up for himself and said, look, like, what's going on? The other part that I really liked was when I find her underwear in my box. That was pretty fun.
That, by the way, one of the only jokes to remain from the first draft. Just read it.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah, that was the first joke I wrote. I thought that was hilarious.
Got a bromance happening here. All right. Do we have any other questions from the audience? All right. Guys, thank you so much for doing this. This was really special and wonderful, and thank you.